Hey, Nicole.
Hi, Kay.
Oh my goodness. How are you?
I'm good,
Okay,
considering.
you sounded so sad.
If well, maybe sad and tired are synonyms.
Okay. Okay. All right. I'll let you have it.
And old.
All right. Well, let's get started so your sad, tired, and old self can go get some rest. Let's start with our sponsors, shall we?
Yes, that'll perk me up. People,
Okay. All right.
Urby Entertainment. Have to shout out, one of my companies. Definitely a international DJing company and urban apparel company. And you can find us on the World Wide Web, the internet, and you can also find us on Facebook. Definitely look for us there.
All right. And the people responsible for her hair.
Yes. Key of Sheer Dazzle Salon in Chesapeake in the Sam's Circle Shopping Center. And she has some other lovely ladies that are just as proficient and talented as she is when it comes to natural hair, as well as anything that deals with chemicals or color treatment. So definitely check her out.
Okay. And finally, also responsible for her
Color,
look.
Color You Cosmetics. And tonight's lip flavor is very berry. It's a matte lip color. And you kind of need that when you're wearing your mask because you take your mask off and your lip color stays and the mask goes, but you're still looking, chic and regal with your lip color. It's a basic beat today because it is Monday. And you can
Um,
find Color You Cosmetics and online as well as in Lithonia, Georgia, and also in Norfolk, Virginia. That's where the two stores are. But you can definitely find us online when it comes to the website, Instagram, and Facebook.
awesome. Hmm. So today we are talking about Ganja and Hess, 1973. So this movie had an interesting journey, shall we say.
It did.
So it made it to the theaters only to get diced, spliced, given about five different names, and then to be put back together 20 years later and represented to the world. That's the
Yep,
clip.
25. It was forgotten. And it was probably
Mhm.
best that it was because by the time they butchered it and made it into something else, it needed to be forgotten. It really did. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. And if you have opportunity to watch it, then you'll understand why, or at least the document.
Yeah, I think watching the documentary before you see the actual movie is probably helpful. I found it
Because
helpful.
it gives you some historical background. Yeah, it gives you some historical background because a lot of times when you watch a film, you kind of wonder, I wonder where this came from. And it's one of those kind of drop out the sky type of things. Like, you kind of want to have some background on it to fully appreciate it. You may like
Mhm.
it, but the the history behind it really allows you to understand why it's still relevant and we're having it now so many years later. So
Right.
let's talk about the mastermind that brought it back to life after it had been butchered and dissected and hidden away for so many years.
Yeah, the producer. Oh, what was his name again?
Bill Gunn,
No, Bill Gunn was the writer.
writer. Yeah, was it?
He wrote the movie, and he was actually called upon to write the movie. So the way this came together was at the time, black exploitation films were at their height. Um, and if you don't know what black exploitation is, in the 70s there was a surge of black films, and everyone was kind of into it. There were the action films of the time, and the general theme was, the man is on our back, fight the man kind of thing, talking about black empowerment, getting drugs out of the community. And these movies were selling, and it had a large black audience. They were making money. One of the films that came out during that time was Blacula. And Bill Gunn was called upon to kind of write a more serious version of the movie. Um, what was that number again? 300,000? Thereabout?
300,000.
Okay. So a group got together and they gave five different uh, groups $300,000 to do something that was a little more serious, but they were all black films. I forget the name of the first one. Bill Gunn did Ganja and Hess. Money was given to Maya Angelou. Her movie was never made, and there were two more films that never got made before that large production group folded. Um, so Bill Gunn's was made, and he actually didn't want to do the vampire film. He was like, "Oh, all right, vampire, why?" And they said, "No, no, no, do it. It'll be great. Just give it the whole theme of vampire, but use addiction as a metaphor." And he was like, "I don't even want to do this. Fine, I'll do it." So he wrote it. And they took it to several film festivals, got it to Cannes, and it was great. It got great reviews. People liked it. And so they brought it back stateside. And that's kind of where it went downhill, because I think the folks with the money got a little over ambitious, and they said, we're just going to do a major movie release. And the producers were like, no, 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 you don't want to do that. We need to kind of shop it around a little more and let it get some word of mouth. And we're like, no, 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 no. They put it out to a broad audience, and the film critics ripped it to shreds. That's
There's no appreciation for it.
right, right. Because they didn't take it around to the black audiences that would have appreciated it, and then gave it that word of mouth and said, no, you got to see this vampire movie.
And even greater than that, not just the black audiences, but people that may have been made more aware of what the movie was trying to do, because some stuff you just can't drop
right
drop out there without some type of explanation. There needs to be a build up. And there have been films that have happened over the years that information leaked out about them, so you can kind of get a taste or a feel for them. So when they did hit the theaters, you felt like you kind of already knew what to expect. So you went in with a little bit more background knowledge. And because this is a more artsy film, and to be honest with you, the average American, when you think about where these films really do well at these festivals, that's because their critics are there, more artsy, more liberal viewing people there. You just can't drop this stuff in middle America and think, oh, they're going to get it. Or,
right
or drop in a panhandle and think they're going to get it. Or even in the inner city think they're going to get it. You have to be more deliberate in how
right
you present. And that's why there's some movies that they only air in certain theaters around the country.
Mm-hmm.
And to find out they spent a lot of money doing what they did. They really thought put enough money out, make it a big old spectacle, have the limousines, the bright lights. It was gonna translate into people getting the movie, but one thing doesn't have anything to do with the other. That's like having a beautiful woman, and when she opens her mouth, she's an airhead. It's like, okay, the beauty didn't quite match the brains.
Yeah.
So that's what kind of happened with it. But one thing that we can kind of take a look at, briefly, is the fact that when the movie did come back out, how much thought was put into making it highbrow. It isn't something that was, you know, mediocre. We're just gonna run this little same tired storyline. He really put a lot of visual elements in it. He wanted the actors to be highly intelligent, articulate.
Mm-hmm.
It was a air that he wanted to portray in the film that had not been projected before. And a part of the black exploitation part wasn't just the, getting the crime and all that out of the community. It was also some pimps, some, women that worked for the night, in the night, that type of thing, and more seedier elements of urban society and decay that were projected, about African Americans at the time too. So that was a dark side of the black exploitation part. The other
Right.
aspect of the black exploitation part is the recognition that if they put us on the screen or put money towards anything that we're interested in, our dollars will come. They did, just like they do now.
Mm-hmm.
Our money does speak. So when we're able to see ourselves and we're able to appreciate what we're seeing, then we're willing to pay. So, that's the other part of the black exploitation, is that our dollars were exploited, to get us out to spend
Right.
on things. So,
Right.
yeah.
And so the messaging here was important. Like you said, it took a
Yeah.
lot of it out of the rough element. You had somebody who
Mm-hmm.
was a professional. He was a doctor, a scientist. Um, he was wealthy. He wasn't living or slumming it in the inner city. He had an
He wasn't drug
assistant.
addicted.
Everyone,
Mm-hmm.
right? Not in the typical sense. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but the messaging was still there about some type of addiction. And
Yeah.
he tied in um, some spirituality. He tied in some Afrocentric themes. People who were in the movie. First of all, Dwayne Jones is the lead character.
Mm-hmm.
And some people might be familiar with that name. He was also the lead in Night of the Living Dead. Um, Marlene Clark, she plays Ganja. On Sanford and Son, she was what's his name's girlfriend. Why can I
Lamont,
not think of his? Yeah, Lamont's
uh,
girlfriend. Okay.
mm-hmm.
Um, oh, what's her name? She didn't have a speaking role, but she was the African queen in the kind of the throwback scenes. She played Mama in What's Happening.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot think of her.
Marla Mabel.
Yes,
Marla Mabel.
Mabel King.
Mabel King. Mabel King, yeah.
Mabel King.
I was
She
mixed up.
played
Yeah.
the Queen of Murthia because that's where the bone, the knife that had the infected blood came from. So he pulled all of these different elements and all of these people. It wasn't a slouchy cast, if you will, that was pulled together. He pulled together the right names, the right faces that were familiar for the time. He pulled all of these people together, but once it went the wrong direction, it got pulled apart. The movie got re-edited, pulled apart, like I said. It was retitled. The All the people who were involved in the movie took their names off of it because it was
Or
basically
names were taken off.
right. It was turned into basically a sex film. And so, for, like you said, 25 years, this thing was floated around. It wasn't even called Ganja and Hess for 25 years. In 1996, it was finally put back together. Even the pieces that Bill Gunn didn't want in the film, all put back together as one film, put on DVD and repackaged as the original film, all the pieces they could find. So there may still be some pieces that
Well,
are not included.
what about this film do you think makes it relevant that we're even having a discussion about today? We're sitting in 2021. Black exploitation, as far as we know it, is pretty much
Thing
a
like
thing of the past. And when you look at how many black producers, black screenplay writers, and the level of success that we've reached within the last 25 years when it comes to Oscar nominated actors, winners, box office, makers and hits. Why is
Mhm.
this movie relevant today with its checkered history?
Well, as far as a study on what horror is, what black horror is, if you're a serious film buff, this is a great study, period.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at the background of what it is to be a black filmmaker, to make a black film, to make black horror, to write black stories. If you are the person who's looking to study black film, this is a great starting point. Um, Spike Lee remade this film. I didn't get a chance to watch it. I'll probably do that at a later date. But he remade this film under the title Sweet Blood of Jesus. Um, as far as just general story, this is something we still deal with. Addiction. Addiction to what? Whether it's drugs, whether it's power, whether it's lust, all of these things are in the movie. The movie asks all of these questions. So it's wherever you want to look, you can pull so much out of it.
Well, if it's cerebral, this is more
Mhm.
down your line. If you want something that's a little bit more cut and dry, basic when it comes to the storyline, the plot, um, not so much symbolism, then then this may not be for you. But I think that if you tend to lean more into the horror genre and you kind of want to see how we spin it as African Americans, because as most of us know, horror for us culturally is something that we've pretty much shied away from because of our religious beliefs and our leanings.
Mhm.
So for those that grew up that way, you know that this is taboo for us. Horror is something that is been black horror is something that we kind of like tipped our toe in and skirt around the edges of, but we didn't really do too much deep diving in until probably I would say within the last 25 to 30 years when it
Mhm.
comes to like more films that represent us being the main characters or the storylines being based off of our background and culture. So it's definitely a good study. Like Nikkei said, that you could probably stand the documentary first to kind of get the background on it, to get a deeper appreciation for where this film has gone. But I also look at the fact that it really speaks to how culturally our money speaks and how we move industries. When when the powers that be want us to spend, they find ways to invest in us to spend. But they also find ways in order to marginalize what it is that we do. So that's what happened with this film ultimately, was that in its purest form, the way it was marketed, it wasn't marketed in a palatable way where it was readily accepted. So then they parsed it out and picked it apart and diminished it, which happens to a lot of what it is that we do, because I think that sometimes we're too loud and too bold and too vibrant, for some. Not for us because we live it, but for some, and they try to find a way to put us in a box and make us one particular thing and dull us down. And that's what happened here. But when you allow us to shine and you make people come up to the standard to want to learn more about us, do the research, ask the questions, then I think that's where our authenticity is able to prevail when it comes to the arts. We shouldn't be dumbed down in any shape, form, or fashion. And this movie proved to me why. When you look at what makes us who we are, we're not just one segment of any population. Is so much more to us. So
Right.
that's what I got out of the film in its existence and why it may still be relevant today.
Yep. So
what would you rate it, Nikkei?
I'm going to give it a 3 for those reasons.
Okay.
Whether or not you're into it for the study of the film, or whether you like more cerebral films, or you're looking for something that's more of a pastime. If you're just looking for something to veg out to, this probably isn't for you. But if you're into that more deeper, let me pick this apart and dig into it a little bit, this will be up your alley.
And it will allow you to probably compare it to what's out there now.
Mm-hmm.
We within the last 5 years, we've had quite a few films that leaned into the horror genre
Right.
and that we could compare it to. We have some current films that are out right now that we will be talking about in the weeks ahead as we come through the month of October and approaching Halloween. So,
Mm-hmm.
definitely check us out to see what those films are going to be. And, you can always, when it comes to this particular broadcast, as well as others on Media Moves Week on YouTube. That's where the body of our work can be found. And you can definitely find us on Facebook. But, we have some parameters, 3 questions that just try to parse out the people that are serious from those that are less serious. And we don't, we're not doing deep studies and deep dives and you have to do homework. It's nothing like that. What it is that we all know the nature of social media. You have trolls, you have people that are out there trying to take information and out there trying to sell you something. That's not what we're about. We're about discussing Black cinema and, and Black media and sharing, our thoughts and sharing ideas, as well as, kind of see what else is out there. We know what's on the big silver screen. What about these more smaller, independent artists that are out here doing it and projecting us, whether we think is a positive or a negative, is just out there. So we have those types of discussions. So please subscribe to that and join us. So we have these, these, lively discussions on Facebook. But also, you need to follow your moderators on our
Yes.
platforms. And we have Nikkei.
Yep. You can follow me at Nikkei Writes, and I did spell my name right. Don't get it twisted. That's how it's spelled. So follow me on
That's how it's spelled.
nikkeiwrites.wordpress.com. And the mastermind of all of this is Don Miskell. Follow him on donmiskell.com. That's how you spell
He's a
his name.
prolific writer. He's a
Mm-hmm.
prolific writer of horror, believe it or
Yeah.
not. And he's African American. You know,
Yes.
out with a Kodak. That's not something we normally do. We were raised that, oh no, that's the devil, and we're going to care of you, but no, Don takes it
Yes.
there. So
He
if
does.
you're interested in that, and he has other writings that are in a different lane, but definitely since we're talking about Halloween or October, if that's
Mm-hmm.
what you're interested in, definitely check him out.
Yeah, look him up on Amazon. And our girl,
Yeah,
Nicole DeCandis, right there, right there. Check her out as well. And at the top of the show, you heard music by Robert Rice
yes,
Jr. on smoothology.net. Make sure you check him out, download his music. All right. So that is all we have for you today, friends. So until next time, we'll see you later. We'll have another great movie to talk
definitely.
about. All right. Bye.
Bye.